David Evans here with Herb McConnell.
That's me.
Today we're coming to you from McConnellsville, Ohio. We're at the Visitor Center. We're in McConnellsville for a reason, because we're starting our show because Herb and his lovely wife Connie took a tour of the Morgan County Museum. Herb, you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure, I would. I was born, of course, in McConnellsville. I lived in Malta like our buddy Brandon here. Actually was born on Kennebec Hill right above here and lived in Malta. My dad had a store there. And in 1958, we moved to Caldwell. But my roots are in Morgan County. Both of my sets of grandparents were from Morgan County. So when I went to the museum, I found out that Robert McConnell was actually a long ago relative of mine, and he's the guy that founded McConnellsville. I was thrilled to find that out, and also found a relative there, and we're going to talk to him, Mr. Finley, who actually had run the Opera House over here, Twin City Opera House, for years, 30-some years. Yeah. And Galen was just really nice and gave us some information. We enjoyed the visit. Connie especially, she got to talk a lot. She likes to talk. And but we are in production now with Ohio Media. Am I correct about that? This is a great company. They're going to teach us how to do this stuff right. And we've already learned a ton already. My head's swimming with information. How about you?
I can tell.
Huh? It's, there's a lot of air in there, but now there's other stuff rattling.
It's a new phase of our show, and we're real excited.
I am.
Yeah, because the quality of the show will improve dramatically.
Yep.
And it gives us a chance to come over here to the Malta McConnellsville area.
I love it over
which
here.
We love.
Yep. And
so let's take a look at your tour of the Morgan County Museum.
Yes, sir. We're in Morgan County, and the town called McConnellsville was named after Robert McConnell, who founded this town. I believe it goes back to 1817. So they're going to have a centennial this year, marking 150 years of the existence of the city of McConnellsville. I believe I'm related to Robert McConnell, and we're going to go into the museum here. And this is the Morgan County Museum. There's a dollhouse next door, and some wonderful, wonderful people in here. We're going to go in. We're going to talk to a fella that works here, and let's have some fun.
Here we are at the Morgan County Museum in McConnellsville, Ohio. This museum has artifacts from wars, from dating way back to Civil War, and there is the McConnell House with Robert McConnell. There are pictures and many things that people at that time had in their lives. Pieces of pottery, parts of uniforms from different wars, pictures of homes and businesses in the area, clothing that was worn, and things that you would find in their house. So we're going to take a walk through the beautiful museum, Morgan County Museum, McConnellsville, Ohio.
I'm Galen Finley. I'm the curator here at the Morgan County Historical Society Museum, and we're just going to take a little quick whirl with all of you so you can see what we have. Of course, a local native was Howard Chandler Christie, well-known, famous painter. He has his artwork in our United Nations Capitol in Washington, D.C., in Columbus, Ohio. These are replicas of his old home place, a log cabin where he was born in Morgan County. And as you just continue to walk through, you'll see various artifacts of his and drawings and things. He had a lot of models. And the barracks was his main station between Morgan and Zanesville in Muskingum County. He had quite a reputation. Then also mixed in, we have just all kinds of like woolly mammoth artifacts, prehistoric and petrified wood. The canes that you see in that case belong to Dr. James Ball Naylor, who was a resident physician and an author over in Malta, Ohio, and quite a historian for the district and the county. And then Dr. Rogers Rusk, who was a nuclear scientist, donated a lot of his childhood artifacts, the old boat, and different things that now, today, kids don't even know what they are. And then on the wall are photographs and postcards of all the old boats that used to travel on the Muskingum River from Zanesville to Marietta. Some were passenger boats, some were work boats, etc., and so forth. Then Geneva and Howard Nolan were quite gemologists. They traveled all over the world and had a fabulous collection. He would polish and make jewelry and wind chimes and loved anything with geology or anything to do with geology. And so upon their passing, they left this beautiful collection for the people of the county and surrounding areas to come in and enjoy. There's pieces there from Brazil and from local and just about all over the world. Then over here, we have, of course, old spinning wheels and things. The big glass globe in there is from one of the original street lights that used to hang in the center of the square in the village of McConnellsville, where now the Civil War doughboy soldier stands. Then there's artifacts here for the Opera House. The Opera House Theater celebrating its 125th year this year in 2017. And so we have artifacts here from the theater that have been donated and handed down. And then there, as you can see, as a quick scan, there's just various little things that people have donated and want to see preserved. Over here in this glass case is a set of silver that during the Civil War, when they discovered that John Hunt Morgan was in Rokeby Locks, the lady was petrified, and so was the town that he was going to make it to McConnellsville and raid. And so this lady buried this silver out in the yard, so if he did get here, he couldn't steal her good silver. And the banks emptied all their money and hid them in a local home here and in a potato cellar, so he couldn't find the town's money. These are scales. This used to be a feed store originally, now turned into the museum, and these are the original scales from the feed store. Then over in here, all of these cases deal basically with the Civil War. There are kind of rifles and cannonballs and sabers and pistols and uniforms and what have you from the Civil War period that was such a tragedy in our nation's history, but definitely is something that needs to be preserved, and so people can remember. And the two stumps here that are full of cannonballs and shrapnel were from the Chickamauga battle in the Civil War. And following across the way, of course, is more military. That would be World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War. So all of this is in this section over here, portraying various uniforms, artifacts, and etc. and so forth that would portray the war period in our history as well. Then in the far corner over there is a painting of Mrs. Sam Morris, who was a famous hymn writer and was the organist at Trinity United Methodist Church, and her typewriter's there in the corner. And she wrote many, many hymns that are in all major hymn books to this day that people can use and sing. I know we sing them in our church. One of her most beautiful ones was titled Sweeter as the Years Go By, and it's a beautiful, beautiful old hymn and the old pump organ.
It's incredible stuff.
Because here a while back, we actually, as I was telling earlier, we had a cannonball that was donated to the museum, and oddly enough, it was still live. It had never been decharged, so we had to call the bomb squad in Columbus. They came and got it and took it up and took care of it for us and brought it back, and so now we have that artifact safe in the museum.
It'd be frightening.
Yeah.
Everything's so well preserved in here. Looks
Well,
beautiful.
thank you very much. We've really been working hard to get everything on display, and some of these things over in here, more Civil War. Then Dr. A. Colson was a military man and a doctor in our community for many, many years, and upon his death, the family donated all these various medical instruments and dental instruments, and compared to what we have today, when I look at these, it gives a cold chill right up my spine.
Thank goodness for progress.
Absolutely. The medical community should be well pleased that they don't have to use these things anymore. And then down the river on the old Huck farm is all the Indian artifacts that were found in various times when they would be plowing and preparing their summer planting season. And so there was a very, very large, as you can see, Indian encampment at one time down the river between Stockport and McConnellsville. Then this was donated, a taxidermy of different species of birds and things that used to be in the habitat here in the county. Some still are, but some are lost forever, I'm afraid. Then up on the little balcony area, which I call the crow's nest for some interesting reason, MacDonald and Mabel Birch were world famous magicians, and they traveled all over the world and Europe. Right now, our two front windows display the dress that Mabel wore when she met Queen Elizabeth. They performed all over the various parts of Europe and the United States. We have a display of some of their costumes and some of the tricks that he used to perform. There's a few pamphlets there of his history that people are free to take, and some of the posters that he always used. And then as
Did they just have a magic show by that?
That's what they did for a living. It was.
But I mean, at the Opera House here recently.
Yes, just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, had a big celebration for he and Mabel's life. Several magicians came in and performed and made a real nice program. They were wonderful people. I remember he called me up on the stage one time out of the audience to participate, and it was the guillotine, and he put a carrot in there, and he dropped that blade, and that carrot snapped in half, and then he said, "Now you put your head right here," and I leaped off the stage and ran 3 blocks home from the school and never went back.
Yeah.
And he always wondered what happened to me. But then, oddly enough, in later years, I was their power of attorney and took care of them through the last years of their lives.
That's wonderful.
But he never did get me in the guillotine.
Let's go do the Malta
Okay?
business.
This is great. You're a wealth of knowledge.
A lot of people also get a big kick out of this enormous vinegar jug that used to be in the infirmary, what was called the infirmary, what now would be called a nursing home and care center for people. But one man said, "Oh boy, if that was just full of whiskey." I said, "Dream on." And then back here are artifacts from one of the most famous farm equipment companies in the United States, the Brown Manley Plow Company. And we do have, fortunately enough, some of their plows and pieces of equipment on display. They burned sometime in the 1950s. It was a tragic fire in Malta. And then the Manley family here a few years ago was kind enough to donate some of these wonderful artifacts so that the people in today's society could see and understand that there was a major plant that operated out of Malta, Ohio, across the river, and provided farm and implement equipment to people all over the United States and in foreign countries as well. And then the case below would be filled with carpentry tools that the old carpenters used to use to make the beautiful pieces of woodwork and things that you find in many of the older homes today. And then some of the memorabilia, like that big oil above your head there, is the old Malta Depot railroad station.
It's up there on the wall.
And then over here are artifacts from the railroad, some spikes and a small train, a lantern, some hand torches and different things that, and padlocks and things that they used to have and used in that manner. A piece of the old track is down there on the floor. And then here a while back, we were in the attic and found this beautiful hand-painted fireplace screen that would be used in the summertime to hide the fireplace from view and give a little bit of decoration for a room.
Here we are at the locks on the Muskingum River, right in McConnellsville, just between town and the fairgrounds. But as you see, this long canal that comes down through here is tied into the Muskingum River right above the dam. And as the water comes down this long canal, you'll see a set of gates here that can be opened manually. There's nothing electronic about this. It's a very simple lock system. They open the lock up. They let the boats in. Boats come in, and here we are in the lock system, and that's what fills up with water. Anyway, the boats come in here, and on the other end you'll see where another set of gates that are open manually and shut manually. But once the boats get in, they open these gates and you just slide right out of the canal back into the river. And as you can see, we're below the dam here on this end of the lock system, and the water's running just a little bit faster because of that. But it's a great way to see the Muskingum River. And there's locks that run all the way from Coshocton all the way down through to Marietta. And you can get a pass from the Ohio Department of Resources, Natural Resources. It's $25 a year. And Friday through Monday, they open these locks up and they let you take your boat in and out It's a pretty good deal. If it's just doing it once, it's a $5 charge. So do it the old way. But it's a great little thing to see. A great way to see the Muskingum River and just part of Ohio's history. God bless y'all.
We're back. We're going to end our show to promote Art on the Square, which will be in Caldwell, Saturday and Sunday, June 11th and 12th. And now we're going to run some ads.
And on top of that,
Yes.
at the end of the show, we always put up a billboard to let you know what's going on in the whole Mid-Ohio Valley, from Zanesville to Parkersburg to Wheeling,
Absolutely.
McConnellsville, Woodsfield, any little thing we can put up. If there's something you'd like to have on this show, send it to us. We'll put it on.
We'll run it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's run it.
Okay.
Okay.